noticed.
You need to have some level of luxury, available. So it's more practical luxury. It's not the opulent luxury, but the practical luxury. That's what we're trying to look at. And I think that is something that will work for the upcoming Indian market.
And just one more thing.
It's important to have a toilet in a plane. Even if it's a 45-minute or 1-hour flight, maybe you won't use it. But going with something which doesn't have a toilet for us was a big factor.
Of course, the visits are courtesy. Vinod is in serious talks already with Embraer, though Bombardier's rep still thinks it's worth slipping him his business card. It's a very civilized, if cutthroat, world. Vinod isn't the only Indian executive out window shopping. Indian airline owner M. Tyagarajan has a little tour of the A380's cockpit. His airline is still at the domestic-only stage, but who knows? Asia doesn't think small these days. A few minutes later, he's followed by the Sultan of Brunei. Now here's a man who could afford one of these things, just for himself. This A380 is the first one ever built, and it's filled to the brim with test equipment.
This airplane is really like a flying laboratory. So we have sensors all over the airplane, over 300,000 measurements on this airplane.
The test engineers have their station on the lower deck, where they can control every aspect of data collection and can even observe different parts of the exterior from cameras spread about the aircraft. Something like 1,000 kilometers of cables runs up and down the plane.
This is where all the data collected on the different parts of the airplane comes together. It gets conditioned, it gets treated, and then it's recorded, and these are the recorders.
For the 380 to be optimized and certified, everything has been tested. Load bearing, aerodynamics, engine performance, hydraulics, even the autopilot. There's plenty of ballast to simulate different waiting scenarios for the plane. And upstairs, if it wasn't clear enough, you get a sense of scale for the plane. It's not just the public who are interested in this colossus of the skies. For cabin crews, it's a work environment, and they're pretty eager to see what their new office might look like. After 3 days, the trade fair winds down. The exhibitors are packing up, ready for the next show on the circuit. The Airshow team have no chance to rest, though. The show's not over for them, not by a long chalk. Because tomorrow's the day the Airshow opens to the public. They're expecting a huge crowd. Coping with a well-behaved group of professionals intent on business is one thing, but handling over 40,000 members of the public a day is completely different. It's a task that could very easily overwhelm them. It's the final hurdle, but one that can make or break the Airshow's reputation. The traffic is building up for the first public day. There's high security. The presence of Gurkhas always indicates that things are being taken very seriously. A steady stream of cars, taxis, and buses brings the public into the site. As expected, the biggest hits are the planes themselves parked outside. And the A380 is the #1 attraction.
The Republic of Singapore Air Force, our very own aerobatic demonstration team, the Black Knights.
Soon, the Black Knights are doing their stuff one more time. Philip's almost suicidal knife-edge needle cross passes without a hitch. And then the giant star, the A380, shows itself off. Finally, the Australian roulettes round off the display. Their Pilatus PC-9s are agile, highly maneuverable, and add a touch of old-fashioned cheekiness. The display over, the audience streamed back into the halls. Even though many of the industry booths have been cleared, they're not selling to the general public after all. They make good impromptu picnic spots. And there's plenty still to see, despite the crowds. Best of all, an autograph session with the Black Knights. They can't help but enjoy the adulation. Though soon their tour of duty will be over. Their planes repainted standard gray, and they'll be back on active service.
That's our primary job, being operational pilots. So we just got to get used to nobody coming after autographs anymore, and back to reality, and that's flying air defense for the nation.
And it's back to reality for the public too, as they head for the exits. The show's a victim of its own success. With 40,000 visitors, far more than expected, all trying to leave at the same time, the system of buses ferrying them to the rail network all but breaks down. It's a hitch that the organizers are going to get caned for in the newspapers later. The final day of the air show goes as smoothly as could be wished for, despite there being even more visitors than the previous day. Jimmy can be pleased. He's had 120,000 people from 42 countries stream through his very first air show, and the sales figures he needs.
You know, when we began the show, I didn't want to put any expectations on it. I think I'm pretty satisfied. This will set the benchmark for the show to go forward. 13 to 14 billion US dollars of sales is ain't bad for a first-time show.
And he can allow himself to get a little emotional. Now it's all over.
You know, usually on the last day of the show, you sort of get into a depression for about 2 weeks, and then you pull yourself up again and go on. I'm gonna cry. Okay.
It takes 2 very full years to arrange an air show. And so the crew just have time to catch their breath before starting work all over again. And with 70% of their clients already confirmed to come back again next time, they're going to have their work cut out.